For all new and current subscribers, welcome back to Resilient Love.
Resilient is being able to overcome difficult situations. This podcast is about love, tips on life,
and how to level up in your business.
Let's get started on the journey. Hey,
everybody.
We're back with another episode
of Resilient Love Podcast.
Awesome. So, I hope you guys have been doing well. Happy Sunday. We are going to go ahead and get started. Today's episode, we're actually switching it up a little bit and we're going to have a little visual aid. So, let's get into it. So we're talking about identifying bridges. Our first quote.
The hardest thing in life to learn is which bridge to cross and which to burn, by David Russell.
So we want you guys to sit and meditate on that opening statement, because identifying bridges in life, this is what makes it hard to really decipher at what point do you let it go and at what point do you just kind of just walk through it. So the key things we're going to be talking about are the connections. What are you connected to? How does that correlate with the bridge itself in your life? Repairing bridges, burning bridges, but also at the end of this, we're hoping that you guys recognize that God will build another bridge.
So our first question: who, what are you connected to? Again, who, what are you connected to?
Yeah, the who, the what, the people, the places, the things. What connects you? What are the bridges in life? How did you meet this particular neighbor? How did you meet this coworker? You know, what establishment was it? Is it just because of the establishment that you're connected, or have you all developed a actual relationship?
Yeah, what's the rapport behind the person, place, or things, or let's take it a step further, organizations, network of people.
Yeah. And you know, as we were going through and preparing, I ran across some information concerning London Bridge. You remember the childhood nursery rhyme, London Bridge is falling down.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to get too deep into the history, and those of you who know the history, hey, share it with somebody in the comments. But the history of the London Bridge is falling down nursery rhyme has a very dark history. It has a very negative tone to it. And so that's why we ask you, who and what are you connected to? Because think about all the little children who have sung that nursery rhyme. We have sung that nursery rhyme, yet it has a history, a background, a concept that is dark. We don't even know what we're inputting or embedding into our children. We don't even know what we're inputting or embedding into those that we work with, we talk to. You know, the Bible tells us to know the Spirit by the Spirit. And granted, we were harmlessly doing something, right? But when you do your research and begin to dissect the connection, the reason, you get to the core of the why. We asked you who, we asked you what. Now I want you to think about, why are we connected? Why?
So my favorite quote: when someone shows you who they are, Believe them the first time. People know themselves much better than you do. That's why it's important to stop expecting them to be something other than who they are. By
Dr. Maya Angelou. So, thinking about Dr. Maya Angelou, what about this quote really sticks out to you?
So, it's I'm glad that we are examining the entire quote, because let's dissect it piece by piece just a little bit. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Oftentimes we give people chance after chance to show you who they are when they already showed you in the beginning, this is who I am. Mm-hmm. But we put an extra expectation. Mm-hmm. We fabricate an expectation versus accepting what's really the reality.
Accepting what's in front of us. Mm-hmm. And, as he was talking, what came to my mind, adding to the conversation, is Catfish. You guys remember the Catfish show. Most of you guys may know that show, but the show premise was basically a team was exposing if the person you were talking to virtually was really the person that they say they were. And there were many times where it came out that the person was catfish. In a sense, they were bamboozled. They were told a lie. And so there were telltale signs throughout their process, but it led them to reach out to this team. And so I bring up that example to really let us know about Bridges identifying connectors. Why in this particular case, right? This is not everybody's story, but based upon the certain catfish storylines, the person was seeking out love in all the wrong places. So the connecting factor to why they were in a predicament to be led astray was because of their internal desire to be connected to love. Mm-hmm. But sometimes when you're reaching out for something, it may not be the right season to reach for it. You could be striving for something out of season. I don't want to go ahead of our notes, but sometimes you got to recognize the time, the place, and the season, the who and the what, and it leads you to the why.
And the other thing about that, as we use that analogy of that show, it's almost as if you walk in that show, they begin to walk in with a false expectation. Mm-hmm. The thing is, you can't examine something just from looking at it. You have to look within it. You can be beautiful on the outside, but broken on the inside.
Come on now.
So just because, you can look beautiful.
Right.
But so much brokenness is inside that it make you start to see the ugliness that's within. Mm-hmm. And until that's fixed, pure beauty can't be revealed. Pure beauty just can't show itself.
Right.
Until that's fixed, until that's healed.
Yes. You have to be a healed and whole person. And I believe that we all have been in situations, circumstances where we were not in the right space mentally. We were not in the right space emotionally, but yet we still put ourselves in predicaments where it exposed, as Quentin said, that hurt. It exposed your reason why you did it.
And it's almost as like looking for a false show. Mm-hmm. It's like I have this idea in my mind of what it should look like, a fairy tale.
Correct.
But the reality is this is not how life works.
Yep.
You can't grow through life in a fairy tale.
You got to grow through it with a reality, but also optimism. Mm-hmm. Be realistic, but optimistic. And I know somebody might say, well, that's kind of tough. If you are realist, that means you take reality at face value. But if you are optimist, you see past what you see.
You have to, here's the important practice of, you have to learn how to measure.
Okay.
You have to learn how to measure reality
with
being optimistic at the same time.
Reality versus faith.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So some cases it's gonna you're gonna have to take it at face value.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you can do.
Right.
But you have to be optimistic to see a better outcome.
Yes.
But you have to have, and I say the measure, but the measuring guide to me is the discerning spirit that lives within you.
Mm-hmm. And that leads us to people know themselves much better than you do. So when you first meet a person, I was teaching my kids this concept. When you first meet somebody, in the first 30 seconds to a minute of that interaction, you have already developed your own perspective.
First impressions are lasting impressions.
Right. So when somebody shows you who they are the first time, now here's the thing. When you first meet somebody, they're not necessarily showing you who they are. Mm-hmm. Come on now. You are just taking your own perspective of what you think they are.
You have to put the onion in your cart and then see layer for layer.
Layer for layer, right? So when you officially or initially, meet a person, that's not them showing you who they are. That's you making your own perception of who they are. So it's important to stop expecting them to be something other than who they are. And so in essence, we wanted to really dissect that quote to show you all and to really just have a conversation to say that when we meet people, we do create our own ideas. But when you begin to have a conversation, you begin to go deeper into who they are, what they are about. That's when you can really apply what the famous Dr. Maya Angelou said. Okay.
Right. And this last part this is very simple. That's why it's important to stop expecting them to be something other than who they are. That is that's self-explanatory. Mm-hmm. At this point, it's simple as this. You cannot want more than someone else. You can have an expectation in your head, but that's not reality for them.
Right.
So until it becomes reality for them, it is a false expectation.
False expectations, exactly. Most definitely. So that leads us to point 2. Are you always fixing the situation? You see, we chose this picture of this young lady on the bridge. She's alone. But just imagine if she had to build this bridge back after somebody tore it down, after somebody burned it, after somebody broke her heart, after somebody, come on. You're always repairing the bridge. Have you really assessed why you're always the one? You're always the one trying to reach out. You're always the one trying to clear the air. You're always the one. Have you ever stopped to assess, is this really a healthy relationship?
Right. And that is via person to person, networking within organizations, your attachments, your networks.
Yeah. Your connectors.
Because your networks will become your net worth. And you don't want to dry up your net worth because of your network.
Yeah. The Bible tells us, know those that labor among you. And that simply means know the people around you that's working on the project. Know the people around you that's in the organization. Know the people that you're working with. You got to know those that are around you because you have to have a discerning spirit to recognize if this person is a part of building the bridge or tearing the bridge down.
Right. And when we hear network in technology terms of internet, Wi-Fi, one level to support another.
Okay.
To get the biggest outcome possible.
Mm.
So without that support, we begin to lose connection.
That's right.
And when, let's say when a bridge begins to lose connections in its beams, pieces begin to fall apart. Right. It begins to break. You can repair, you can try, sometimes you can try to repair the bridge as much as you want to, but it still won't fix it. Because one thing is true. There can't be a one-side repair.
That's right.
It takes commitment on all parties.
You know, that brings me to how people say the relationship is supposed to be 50-50. It's supposed to be 50-50. And I know we all have grown in this area, but for those of us who are still yet growing, you should be 100% in and the other person should be 100% in. And I say that with all due respect because you cannot fully operate off of a partiality.
Yeah, you walk into something with a half-sided mindset.
You walk in there not fully committed. Thank you, Lord. You walking in not fully committed. If you bringing 50% to the table and I'm bringing 50, we are both coming in not fully committed. And that's the thing about repairing the bridge. There are moments where the bridge gets severed. There are moments where the bridge does need repair. But the thing about it is, if you're always bringing your tools, yet the person comes empty-handed, who's really repairing this bridge?
And when we talk about repairing a bridge, I'm glad you said the tools part. Sometimes we keep bringing our tools trying to repair a bridge that is not meant to be repaired anymore. That bridge was to take you to a destination, and now it's time to move on to another bridge.
It's time to move on. It's time to move on. And when you move on, I want you guys to really put this image in your mind, the inner workings of the bridge, the connectors, the reasons why. Everything has a purpose as to what's holding this bridge up. My next question for you is, what is your foundation? What is your bridge built on? Because a bridge built on sand, it's not going to stand. So you got to have a solid foundation, even in building your bridge, even in repairing a broken bridge. Because let's be real, what's a repair? When you think about repair, what would you repair? If somebody lied, right?
So to bring a little light to this, I remember one time Bree said, "Why do you move so slow?" Or why do you? Sometimes I do move a little slow. So why do you have to move so slow? Why do you have to take so long? And I said, Brianna, I learned a concept a long time ago that it is better to build a bridge once instead of to go back and have to repair it multiple times. So I say that sometimes it's better to take a little time and make sure, like you said, the foundation is solid. So you don't have to keep going back.
Yeah. And, you know, as he said that, it brought up the quote to me about Frederick Douglass. It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. And that's the thing about foundation. The foundation of the connection, the foundation of the relationship. It's easier to build strong children. It's easy to build a strong bridge. It is harder to repair a broken bridge.
I love that quote. That's one of my favorite quotes, just because of the fact I feel like it has some substance in what we're talking about. The bridge has been broken amongst men in society. Reason being is because most men are still in a childish mindset.
Yeah.
So a child can't raise a child.
Okay.
Only a man can do that. And in some cases, women have did it, but it is never, and I don't want to take away from women. Women are strong, but it is very important to have a male presence. But more than just a male presence, a male to be that bridge.
Come on.
That child needs to cross over. especially a male, but also a female.
Mm-hmm.
It's all that working bridge that they need to be able to cross to get to that adulthood.
Yeah.
And that's the broken bridge in our society right now.
Yeah. The broken bridge of the family unit.
Right.
The broken bridge of men being leaders in their household. The broken bridge of women having to compensate or overcompensate for an area in which God does equip, but that doesn't mean you were called.
Right.
And you are equipped as women to do the job, but you were not called to. The man was called to do that job.
And for some women, it's not fair that they feel that they have to lower their expectations. So that's a very big thing. It's a topic that didn't get hit on as much. You know, sometimes we fall into the judgmental stage of you shouldn't lower your standards. So that is easy to say until you walk in someone's shoes or you deal with what they have to deal with. No, it's not good to lower your expectations.
Right.
But it is not fair to be put in that predicament either.
That's true.
So it's a two-sided, this bridge go both ways.
There you go. It goes both ways. And that's why it's so essential for us to recognize the passing through.
Mm-hmm.
It's for us to recognize the different seasons that we face. And we ask the question, are you burning bridges or just cutting off a distraction? You have to decipher and discern what's happening in your season. What season are you passing through? A bridge is meant for you to pass through, for you to connect to another city, another state, another place. It's just meant to get you to the next thing. So even in our picture example, you see that the bridge has to be raised in order for the boats to pass through because it actually needs clearance, right? When bridge is raised, that gives the boats clearance. So I'm asking the question, who are you giving clearance to? Because in order for a boat to pass through your life, you have to give it clearance to do that. So in order for you to be entertaining somebody who's not good for you, you gave them clearance to do that. In order for you to be in a place of, just a low place, you gave something clearance to bring you down to that low place. So we're asking you today, are you going to burn the bridge? Or do you believe in your heart of hearts it's just a season where you need to cut this person off or cut that thing off just for a season? Because so many times people say, don't burn a bridge. You never know who you're going to need. How many times have you kept something around just because you were scared? If you didn't keep it around, you weren't going to go to the next thing.
So the significant part I find in what you're saying is in either case scenario, whether you have to burn the bridge or cut it off for a season, you have to pass through.
Mm-hmm.
But in order for the drawbridge bridge to lift up so the boat can pass through, you have to deal with what's internal. When you deal with that, then the drawbridge can open and the pass through can happen. Look at the boat as you and the other side as freedom.
Go ahead.
So when you do the interworkings in your soul, when you do that work that needs to be done, only then can those bridges raise.
Yes.
And you can pass through to the other side of victory, to the other side of freedom.
Yes.
Because you are free from what you were wrestling with inside.
Yes.
So there's always something behind that bridge not opening. Even when I look at this picture, I say, okay, we got to get to the next destination. But sometimes are we holding ourselves back because we're continuing to sit there and wait for the bridge to open, but we're not doing the work to make it open.
The song says, melodies from heaven rain down on me. But I want you to know, when we say in church, when praises go up, blessings come down. I know we say all these cliches, but I'm getting somewhere. You have to do the work inside. You have to be free from within to get free in your reality or what's in front of you. So until you break the bondage of what's inside of you spiritually, is when you can see it manifest in the natural, as Quentin was alluding to. So we all have to do the work to truly be free indeed. I want you guys to pick up April Azale book, Free Indeed. Do the work to be free indeed. The Bible tells us, he who the Son sets free is free indeed. So walk in that freedom, ride in that freedom, drive through in that freedom. You're going through different seasons. And with COVID-19, with 2020 challenges, a lot of us have been in a pass-through season. It's like, as long as I can just get through, if I could just get through this, if I could just, but God wants you to not just get through it, but he wants you to grow through it. And in order for you to grow through it, you got to do the work from within to see the manifestation without or out and about.
You know, it's another cliche.
What?
And something I had to train, like we've had to train ourselves to talk different.
Yes.
So that we can get a different outcome in our life.
Yes.
So one of the things I'm thinking of is one thing after another. It's just one thing after another.
That phrase.
So the thing about it is, I'm telling you, as I keep looking at this picture, I keep getting more downloads.
Yeah.
So just because you get through this bridge don't mean there's not a next bridge miles away.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about, let's go to the Bible. Every time somebody was on a traveling journey, they always had an obstacle, quote unquote, a bridge.
There you go.
But in that bridge process, in their travels, they always learned something from that experience.
And they were able to pass
through to the next destination. One bridge gets you to the next bridge.
One test helps you get prepared for the next test.
And in each part of this, there's elevation.
You go higher in God. You go higher in your thinking. Just like this particular bridge picture here. Very eloquently designed, very sophisticated. It has an architectural focal point here of that dome going up. And I want you to know, just like Quentin said, you're elevating, you're going higher. But you first have to deal with what's within. So that brings us to our final point about how God will build another bridge. But you first got to let it go and find victory. You know, the songwriter said, victory is mine, victory is mine, victory today is mine. I told Satan to get thee behind. Victory today is mine. Sometimes you have to just minister to yourself through these seasons. You know, as you're passing through or as you're traveling on, you have to recognize, as Quentin said about the Bible, there were so many moments in the Bible where Jesus literally had people encounter other people. The encounter was to help change the trajectory of their life. Just like the woman with the issue of blood encountered Christ. She got healing. As the man at the pool of Bethesda encountered Christ, he was able to pick up his bed and walk. As people began to encounter the storm, when the disciples was on a boat with Jesus and the storm began to rage on the sea, they had an encounter and peace was able to be still. So encounters help us to not only be able to pass through what we're going through, but it helps to build us up to be stronger, better, wiser. But we first have to do the work.
I don't know. Well, you'll know what I'm saying, but we won't say it exactly. But in a conversation or whatever, a day or two ago, you know, sometimes we keep bridges that feel comfortable,
mm-hmm.
like a credit card.
It's a bridge.
A bridge to access
Mm-hmm.
all the time. Swipe, access, swipe, access. But when you finally make a determination that I'm not going to be dependent on this bridge anymore, that I know leads me to debt destruction,
That's right.
you give the ability for a new bridge of freedom to be built.
Mm-hmm.
But you must have faith
To let go.
to let go.
So that's our challenge for you guys today. Have faith to truly let go of the bridges in your life that are no longer connecting you to your purpose. Let go of the bridges in life that connect you back to the pain, the hurt that you have done the internal work to be free from. Know your triggers, know the red flags, know the telltale signs, and guess what? Have enough discernment to know when it's time to truly burn the bridge and never look back. This has been another episode
of Resilient Love Podcast.
Hope you guys enjoy. Thanks for listening. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Anchor, YouTube. Just check us out. And leave us a positive 5-star review. We greatly appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great day. All right. We was just leaning back talking to y'all, but we're going to get out of here now. All right. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Resilient Love Podcast. We wanted to take this opportunity to also let you know that you can help us by committing to a monthly fee of 99 cents, $2.99, or $9.99. Those contributions help us to keep this movement of resilient love going. Blessings to all listeners and subscribers. Thank you all.
Resilient love.